evening, Lodi. Hello. Nice to see you all. I'm here with my good friend Bill Welch, and we are going to chat tonight about the Ice Age Trail and what an amazing presence the Ice Age Trail is in our community. Before we do that, a few community reminders. First of all, masks. Remember, mask up. Bill and I are socially distanced here, plus we're both hermits and have no lives, so we're not real worried about having been exposed to COVID. But please remember to wear your masks. If we wear our masks, like 95% of the transmission will be stopped. So wear your masks. It's not a political decision. It's a decision to care for your neighbors and family. So put your mask on. They're not the most comfortable things in the world, but they can be a fashion statement. Blue is my preferred color. And I have developed quite a collection of masks in several bags that I carry around. Okay, other community reminders. I don't know if people are aware of this, but when you go to the City of Lodi website, which is cityoflodi.us, I believe, or just Google City of Lodi, Wisconsin, or you'll get Lodi, California. Up at the top, you can create an account and log in and sign up for city alerts. And when you do that, if the schools are closing early, when the pool is open, if the pool's closed or closing early, snow emergencies, you can sign up for meeting notifications so you get notified when an agenda is posted. It is a great way not just to stay on top of what's happening with city governance, but to be aware of any pending weather situations, etc. So I highly encourage you, if you have a few minutes, to go onto the city website, create an account, and sign up for those alerts. That way, if you forget that the city council meets on the third Tuesday of every month, but you really want to know what's coming up on their agenda, you can get a text message or an email, and it'll let you know the agenda's been posted. You can pop over and take a look and decide whether you want to sit through a council meeting or not. They are a load of fun, so I would highly encourage you all, somewhat tongue-in-cheek. Bill's laughing because he's no longer on city council. That leads me to another point, and I'm going to keep bugging everybody about this. Think about running for local office. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, think about people either in your family or friends or neighbors who you think would be really effective, great people to have around the table when we're making budget decisions, discussing policies, all of that good stuff. Whether it's here in the city of Lodi, in the town of Lodi, town of West Point, town of Dane, village of Dane, it's school board, you can get involved, and it doesn't need to be your life. It doesn't need to be a ginormous time commitment. Now with the age of COVID, many of our meetings are happening via Zoom. So wherever you are in the world, you can attend a meeting. And we really need people to get involved. When things are running smoothly, you don't think about local governance, which is fine. And that's a beautiful thing. However, we make decisions daily that affect your life. And we want good, thoughtful people involved in making those policy decisions and those budget decisions. What happens when you flush your toilet? Nobody really wants to think about that, but it's important to know what happens. And there are decisions made around how our wastewater treatment plant handles things. And, how do the dead trees around the city get taken care of? And, I want to help make our parks even more beautiful than they are now. There are ways you can get involved. So I am happy to chat with anyone, anytime about running for local office. December will be the time that you need to collect signatures, and that is just around the corner. So regardless of what local office you're running for, those are always elected in April. There's always a primary in February. If there are more than two people running or more than three people, two or more. Geez Louise. If there are three or more people running for a seat, there sometimes is a primary depending on the race. But you always have to collect signatures in December, which is not anyone's favorite time of year to collect signatures. But I got to tell you, having lived here my whole life, when I go out collecting signatures, it's a great time for me to catch up with neighbors and friends and just to check in with folks. So let me know if you're interested in running for office. There's lots of us you can chat with, and I'd be happy to give you an introduction to, I guess, Lodi City Governance 101. Last but not least, you're going to hear us talking about this again, but October is Domestic Abuse Awareness Month, and later in September, we're going to be chatting a little bit more about that. A couple of us are involved. My friend Julie Schmidlin, and I'm going to butcher her last name, Shikanik, I believe it is, and I are working with Hope House to facilitate some training and have some local contacts for people who are in domestic abuse situations. If you're interested in getting involved in that, please contact myself. And I'm happy to get you connected with Julie and get you involved. And we're just at the infancy stages of this. My direct line at City Hall is 608-592. Okay, I know I'm 0702, I believe. And my city cell phone number is 608-573-2117. Again, 573-2117. And last but not least, my email, agrovesloyd@cityoflodi.us. Again, that's agrovesloyd@cityoflodi.us. And I'll work with Blaze to get a contact info card up somewhere so it's easier to find. Last but not least, a little preview of upcoming View from 202 episodes. We've got a couple more in September. Tonight, we're talking Ice Age Trail on September 16th. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming election in November, how to get registered to vote, how to request an absentee ballot, when in-person voting will happen, early in-person voting, and all that good stuff, and how to do it safely. And then Alex LeClaire from the library is going to join me, and we're going to talk about how the library is doing and all the fun and exciting activities they have going on. On September 30th, we're going to be broadcasting from the new Willow Tree Wellness Co-op building, which for those of us who have lived here forever is the old dime store at 109 Lodi Street. And there are 5 amazing women who are establishing businesses there. Yoga, myofascial massage therapy, mental health therapy, occupational therapy, and I think I'm missing one. Anyway, all those wonderful women are going to be my guests on the 30th, and we're going to broadcast from their new digs, and their grand opening is going to be on October 10th. So we are very excited to have them be joining our downtown, very excited to have this great resource for our community. And then on October 14th, so don't tune out, but we're going to have Nancy Long, who is one of our county board representatives, and she is also the chair of the Solid Waste Committee for Columbia County, and Greg Kaminsky, who is the director of Solid Waste for Columbia County. So I talked about what happens when you flush your toilet, and you should be peripherally aware of what happens. You should also be aware of what happens when you put stuff in your recycle bin and when you put stuff in your garbage. So we're going to talk about ways to leave a lighter footprint on the planet and on our little valley here, what to keep in mind with recycling, how you can reduce your waste at home, and all of that good stuff. So that's on October 14th. And then on October 29th, Anna Steve, who is our energy services representative from Wisconsin Public Power, is going to be here to talk about ways that you can save money and save the environment. So we will have lots of exciting shows coming up. I don't have anything booked after that. If you have suggestions for future shows, always interested in hearing your feedback. And as always, if you have questions about the city or stuff, call me, email me. Would love to hear from you. So now we get to talk all things Ice Age Trail. Before I turn it over to Bill, I'm going to give a little bit of my family's personal connection. Back in the, I think, early 2000s, like 2005, 6, 7, my dad connected with folks from the Ice Age Trail Alliance. And to make a long story short, we wound up, we have a segment of the Ice Age Trail. It's called the Fern Glen segment. And that's through our family farm. My family settled here in the mid-1860s. And we have about 235 acres on our farm. So we signed up to be an Ice Age Trail segment. And then my father wanted to ensure that the hill behind our house, farmhouse, and the wetlands in that area were protected in perpetuity. So as part of his estate planning, my father put 175 acres of the 235 into a conservation easement with the Ice Age Trail Alliance. Dad passed away in 2017, but my brothers and I are so proud of this legacy and the fact that this 175 acres will be open to the public and will be under the great guidance and stewardship of the Ice Age Trail folks. So it's been an honor to have that personal relationship. On top of that, Lodi is an Ice Age Trail community, and to talk about what that means and what is the Ice Age Trail and all that good stuff, I'm pleased to introduce my friend Bill Welch. And Bill, thanks for taking time to be here tonight.
Oh, thank you, Ann. Thanks for having me here. We're always happy to talk about the Ice Age Trail. As we were saying earlier, it's sort of a well-kept secret.
Yes, yeah.
It seems like a well-kept secret to many people in Wisconsin and even in Lodi, even though it comes right through the city. When my wife and I moved here, we saw the yellow blazes, which tell you that's when you're on the trail, is when you see a yellow blaze.
Okay.
We saw those and we thought it was an evacuation route. And because we lived in Arlington for a while, and they had the blue ones for when the interstate
Alternative
closed.
route, yeah.
And then we figured out it was the trail, and finally started walking around. And we put our bicycles up in the rafters of the garage. We haven't had them down since.
Oh, that's
There's
fabulous.
so much to do on the trail. So, sort of the basic rough outline is that the Ice Age Trail is a national scenic trail. It's one of 12 in the country, just like the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Rim Trail, Pacific Crest Trail, and all those others that people have heard of more. But it's a 1,200-mile footpath, approximately, and it runs from one side of the state to the other, from Potawatomi State Park in the east to St. Croix at Interstate Park in the west, and depending on which way you're going. And it follows the last terminus of the last glaciation about 12,000 years ago. So from Potawatomi, it runs down to around Janesville and then comes north through Dane County and through Lodi, and then north toward Wausau and Antigo, and then heads west through the Chequamegon National Forest and winds up at St. Croix. So it's interesting in that the original person who thought of this, name of Zimmer, his idea was it would be a linear park through the state. And of course that didn't work out, but it did become a linear trail. And that was 60 years ago. This is our 60th anniversary of having an Ice Age Trail. It's our 40th anniversary of its designation as a national scenic trail.
Oh, cool. Okay.
The first 20 years were building some trail and identifying areas, working with National Park Service to determine where the whole trail should go roughly and what the corridor would look like. And then Congress declared, once we met some standards, Congress declared the Ice Age Trail a national scenic trail. I think at that time there were only 10, maybe 9. So, yeah, it's, as somebody said once, it's a national park that runs through our home.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
That's what it is. We're part of the National Park Service. So in Lodi, the Ice Age Trail actually was south of here in the marsh and to the north in some places I think in the 1990s, before my time. And somewhere around 2000, in the earlier days, the volunteers who worked on the Ice Age Trail operated as a team through the Friends of Scenic Lodi Valley. And then eventually that morphed into a chapter of the Ice Age Trail Alliance.
Okay.
And that was somewhere around 2000, 2001. And my wife Patty and we became involved in 2002 or 3 when we moved to Lodi. So our chapter is about 120 people.
Okay.
Of all over. We have some people live in Lodi, some live in Illinois who come up to the lake for the summer. We have people from Alabama and all over.
Wow.
People who used to live here continue to be members and support the trail. As a chapter, we maintain about 13 or 14 miles of trail.
Okay.
our responsibility goes from the Merrimack Ferry Wayside to the Columbia County line south of town.
Oh,
And
okay.
so of that, about 8 or 9 miles are trail on the ground. The rest are connecting routes on roads.
Mhm.
So we kind of, to the north, we start off with the Gibraltar segment that runs from the ferry landing to Gibraltar Rock, and through Slack Road and Gibraltar Rock, which is currently closed because of its fragility. And then there's a road connector walk to the Fern Glen section on County Trunk J, which was originally the Groves-Pertzborn segment, excuse me, because both the Groves family and the Pertzborn family have dedicated part of that land for the trail to pass through. And then there's another road walk into the city, and then the trail runs from the high school all the way through town, right down Main Street. When Ann and I talked about doing this, she said, well, where can we do this on the trail? I said, well, City Hall's on the trail. So
I love that.
So then it heads south out of town to the Lodi Canning Company property, and then through there, winds through there through some DNR property, and then to the county line. And then after that, the Dane County chapter takes over responsibility for maintenance through the Lodi Marsh.
Okay.
Though we kind of work in hand with them, since so many people from this area use that. And most people think it is part of our trail.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So quick question about that.
Sure.
So Peoples Park and Twin Pines are both in Dane County? If you go out Riddle Road?
That would be, that's in Dane County. 'Cause
Okay.
at that point, it's Lodi Springfield Road.
Okay, that's right, okay.
There's a little dotted line on the road, and it stops being Riddle and then becomes Lodi.
I have no idea
No,
where
there
that
no
is.
dotted line. So that's pretty much the way our trail runs. And this is very heavily used trail.
Especially this year.
I think, yes, especially this year. As far as I know, the only other part of the trail that's used this heavily are the ones closest to Milwaukee.
Really?
In Lapham Peak and Kettle Moraine Park and
Wow.
State Forest. That's why when you walk up to Gibraltar Rock, the trail is very wide. And we did that on purpose because of the crowds and families that come there. We wanted not just a narrow path through the woods. So our chapter is kind of known for a number of things. One is Gibraltar Rock, which is absolutely one of the gems of the Ice Age Trail. You can almost go anywhere around the state and say, I'm from Lodi, and if they don't know the ferry or Susie the Duck, they know Gibraltar Rock. The ferry is another one. That's the only place the trail crosses water. Oh,
so when you get on the ferry,
in a
it's
boat. I mean,
part
you
of
have
the
to
trail?
walk over creeks and bridges, but yeah, that's part of the trail.
Oh, that's cool.
And it's the only part of the trail I know that has an ice cream shop either end.
Which puts it right up there as
right.
trail
That's a big
amenities.
attraction.
Yeah.
When families are involved, it really is.
I'm sure, yeah.
Then the other one, then the next segment, the Fern Glen segment, again, thanks to the Pertzborn family and the Groves family, we have permission to have the trail through there. And I will mention, I think one of the other things we're known for, at least around the Ice Age Trail, if not publicly, that easement that Frank decided to give to the Ice Age Trail, besides providing him with some, tax benefits and stuff, that was used as sort of barter and through the Knowles Nelson Stewardship Fund, and protected 247 acres of Ice Age Trail.
Pop was so proud of that.
State, yeah. So one of the other things is the Rainbow Bridge, which is out by the high school and between the middle school and the high school. And that took 5 years to build.
Wow.
From the first meeting. So there was about a year of meetings, and then there was 4 years of building.
Okay.
And it's called a Rainbow Bridge because the design is based on a 6th century Chinese bridge that they used to cross canals, and they would make interlocking parts, and then they would push them together and they would lock, so there were no posts for the in the way of the
cool.
canal. And that was what we were going to build. And then we realized it would be way too deep in that ravine.
Oh,
So we used that as the bottom foundation, and we
Okay.
built the flat part over the top using a lot of black walnut, sort
Oh,
of
cool.
scrap wood. We had a grant even for using that type of wood in transportation.
okay.
So that was built by many hands. The high school tech class did a lot of the work on there. They
That's
did all the
beautiful.
railings and that kind of stuff. And a lot of students have helped maintain it over the years. Another thing we're kind of known for is Lodi's downtown. From the high school, you walk through Church Street and Prairie Street, and then you're on Sauk Street and Main Street. You go by the library, you go by all the shops and all the restaurants, you go by City Hall, and then walk out of town. And so that's a lot of hikers who are going on longer distances count on being able to come here, get coffee and a scone, get a meal, do some shopping, use the bathroom, use the Wi-Fi at the library. You'll see
Excellent.
people out in the front of the library with a enormous backpack and a little laptop going at it. So that's very important, and I'll talk a little more about that when we talk about trail communities.
Okay.
And then I think one of the other things Lodi is really known for is the Saunters program, which started here in Lodi, boy, I think like 10 or 12 years ago, probably 12 years ago, as a summer school class, started by 2 teachers, Chris McNeil and Luke Cloverdance. And it was for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students to go out and hike for every day for 5 days. They have high school students who come along as mentors to the
Cool.
3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. And these kids do 5 to 9 miles. They're really,
Wow.
the first day, as the parents love this program because the kids come home and
Or fried.
go to sleep. So, but it's been marvelous, and every family who's enrolled gets a map and a guidebook for the trail.
Nice.
And a lot of these kids have grown up now to become high school mentors.
Oh, I love that.
And even come back from college to be able to walk.
Very cool.
And our chapter was very supportive of it at the beginning, both monetarily and still doing that. But we also make snack bags for every child for every day of the
Oh,
week.
nice.
So that's a labor of love, and I'm pretty sure they have it all eaten by the time they leave the parking lot. But they still love it a lot. And so that started in Lodi for a few years, and then some other schools, they helped, Luke and Chris helped a few other schools start it. And the Alliance saw the promise of this and helped set up some protocols and guidelines and some instructional stuff. And I think it's in 32 schools
Wow.
across the state. And there were 2,300 kids out on the trail in the Saunters
Oh, that's
program.
incredible.
And it grows every year. There's always,
I
there's
bet.
always a couple teachers somewhere who want to hike. And so
Gosh,
then they
that's
find
great.
out about this and they say, oh, we could do that in our school.
Sure.
And
Oh,
so
that's
they
fabulous.
figure, they get a lot of support from the Alliance, and they figure out how to do it. So they don't have to invent the wheel again.
Excellent.
So that's pretty much the trail in a big nutshell.
That's a beautiful nutshell.
Yeah, well, at 1,200 miles, there's a lot to talk about.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but we were talking, I did mention about the trail coming through Main Street and how important that is to hikers and the trail itself. The Ice Age National Scenic Trail is one of I don't think any of the other national scenic trails decided to embrace the communities and go through them.
Rather than,
Then go around
Yeah.
them. In the Appalachian Trail, you're 2 to 3 miles from a town.
The whole trail,
just
yeah.
about. So when you want to resupply, you walk in and you walk
Mhm.
back out. But the Ice Age Trail decided that we wanted to support the communities that support the trail, that support the hikers,
That's
and
great.
it's really worked out very well.
Mm-hmm.
So you may see these signs as you come into Lodi. There's an Ice Age Trail community sign at the big entrances and in a few other places. There's also a smaller version of this that's on storefronts. And we asked some of the merchants who would be interested in supporting the project, and we had an overwhelming response,
Excellent.
of course, from people in Lodi.
Mm-hmm.
So being a trail community means that the city decided to do this and put the money out, a one-time payment to become a trail community.
Mm-hmm.
And the Alliance and the city have a memo of understanding that's
Mhm.
been signed in 2016. We were
Okay.
the second community to become a trail community.
Oh, really?
And what it really does is establish the recognition of the trail by the community, by the city government, and by the surrounding community. So the memo of understanding means there's mutual support and coordination and communication with the city and with the trail.
Mm-hmm.
So the chapter does a lot of different kinds of events that throughout the year and the months that the city, helps spread the word about,
Mhm.
and the chamber as
Yes,
well, the Lodi Lake Wisconsin Chamber. We do full moon hikes, tyke hikes for preschool children. We have a mammoth fun run and walk every June and National Trails Day. We have a fall color run in partnership with Fontana Sporting Goods
Oh,
in
cool.
October,
Mm-hmm.
and all of those were canceled this year.
I know.
So hopefully by later in the year, we'll be able to have, in the winter, I think we'll be able to have some of the full moon hikes and
Good.
things of that sort. And then we also do Art on the Trail, which is typically in May, but took place in August this year, where we have artists who put art pieces out on the trail for people to enjoy as they're walking through. And the chapter also has a few business things. We have mostly monthly, not every month, chapter meetings where another place where people can be involved. They can help decide on the budget and what our activities are going to look like, and
Excellent.
how we're going to reach out to the community and what things we're going to do. And then just about one Saturday every month, we have a trail maintenance day,
Okay.
and people can come out and swing some tools and help actually do some of the physical work.
Cool.
And it's there's something for everybody.
Mhm.
It's not some of the physical work is painting blazes on trees,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not all picks and shovels and things and
Okay.
chainsaws and things like that. There's something we've had. I don't know, second graders, kindergarten kids.
fun.
We've had kindergarten kids out under strict supervision
Yes.
using a lopper.
Oh,
And,
cool. That's great.
So it's difficult. The trail is sort of like a garden or your yard.
Mhm.
You don't ignore it. You just keep working on it all the
Mhm.
time. There's always something to do.
Mhm.
So part of that support from the Ice Age Trail is through their social media things, Facebook and their email, Instagram and their website.
Mhm.
They're in direct contact with over 20,000 people.
Wow.
So people who come to hikes and things like that, they give us their email. We ask them if they want to do that and do they want to hear notices. And
Sure.
pretty soon, lots and lots of people find out about all these things.
Mhm.
So it's the Alliance is really a good supporter for Lodi.
Fantastic. So you mentioned people can help with the trail days or get involved in the
Yes.
SH Trail. What if I'm not, so this isn't necessarily me, but if I'm not so much a hiker, but I know the importance of the SH Trail, how can I give perhaps financially or help support some of those
Sure.
other things?
Well, the best way is to become a member of the Ice Age Trail Alliance.
Okay.
You can go to iceagetrail.org
Okay.
website, and there's a place there where you can become a member.
Okay.
We used to give out a lot of member applications, and
Mhm.
now 90% of them come through the website.
Yeah.
So we gave up printing that stuff. So that's one way, especially for, if you want to do financial rather than sweat equity. And
Okay.
that type of thing.
Mhm.
And there's lots of different ways you can do that. There's estate planning
Sure.
and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Also, if you're interested in becoming involved in the local chapter, whether you're a member or not, you can contact us at Lodi Valley Chapter at iceagetrail.org. That's our email
Okay.
address. And one of a really good way to become involved coming up in October is an extension of our 40th year anniversary as a Ice Age National Scenic Trail.
Mhm.
And that is the Mammoth Hike Challenge. And what this is, we're partnering with Discover Wisconsin and the Lodi Chamber, Lodi Lake Wisconsin Chamber, to put this on, and we're asking people to register online, and then they can hike 40 miles of the trail. So you got 40 out of 1,200 to pick from, and visit 3 trail communities.
Okay.
And then you'll get a patch that you can put on your backpack or your jacket or
Like the one on your
shirt.
sleeve that's a volunteer
kind of like
patch?
that. That's the national.
Cool.
That's the National Park Service patch.
Oh, very cool.
In addition to that, there's an app called Strive On that was developed in Whitewater, and there's one for it, and there's a spot on there for every one of the trail communities, and you can go to that and we've been making video and other kinds of content so that a hiker could come down Main Street and go to Strive On and look at the app and go to Lodi and see, oh, here's the restaurants,
Nice.
here's the coffee shop, here's where the bathrooms are, here's where the laundromat is. It's another big hiker.
I'm
thing.
sure, yeah.
Long distance hiker. Things of that sort, plus some of the things in the area, Gibraltar Rock, the different trails, maps of the trails. So that's an excellent way. It's kind of like, the idea is kind of like when you're at a museum and you get one of those earphone guide
Oh,
things,
sure,
and you
yeah.
walk along and it tells you what you're seeing. What you're doing.
Very cool.
So, and there's over 1,000 people registered already. So
That's
that tells
amazing.
you how, first of all, how strongly people want to get out and about in this time.
Yes.
But also how popular this is. So at different times during this fall, different trail communities are going to be featured. And September 10th, Lodi will be featured. And the Discover Wisconsin, they received one of the tourism grants to do this. They'll be putting out a lot of social media advertising, encouraging people to come to Lodi and go see Gibraltar Rock and like Fern Glen and all the other segments that we have, and get ice cream at the ferry and all those kinds of things.
That's awesome. And is that it's just a one day, right, that we're featured? It's not a week?
I believe so.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think the things, they send out sort of a wave of advertisements.
Okay.
And because I think there's one every 4 or 5 days for different trail communities. But Lodi will be September 10th, just a week from now.
Okay. So, quick question. I'm very excited about the Mammoth Challenge. If I have never hiked an Ice Age trail, and we all have moved away from paper maps sort of thing, how do I figure out where a trailhead is or how to find my way?
Sure.
What's the easiest way to do that?
There's a couple ways to do it. One is to go to the Ice Age Trail Alliance website, iceagetrail.org, and there are maps of the segments there.
Okay.
If you sign up for this, you'll have access to the maps. We do have paper maps in the trailheads.
Okay.
and most of those also have maps of the sections. So
Mhm.
what a lot of people do now is take a photo of that map with their phone, and
Okay.
then they have that as a reference as they're
Okay,
walking
cool.
through. There's also a hiking app of the Ice Age Trail that has all that information, the distances between different spots and where the parking is and water and
Mhm.
everything else that you can download. And I think it's about $25 or something.
Yeah,
There's
and that's just a
information for
one-time
that.
fee,
That's
and
a
then you've
one-time
always,
thing.
and it's always updated. And,
Yes.
okay.
Because we update the trail pretty regularly.
And does that app also work for the other National Scenic Trails, or is it
That
just
one
the Ice
doesn't.
Age Trail? Okay.
Most of the different trails have their own apps.
Okay, that makes sense.
There are some other places, REI, I believe has an app that has all the national parks, and I think many of the scenic trails. The Gut Hook, I believe it's called, Ice Age Trail
Mhm.
app has the most detail because that was
Okay.
partially developed by the Ice Age
Oh,
Trail
cool.
Alliance. And you can see exactly how many miles, 1.063, to between where you are and the trailhead, so you
Mhm.
know you don't have far to go.
Mhm.
Still have far to go.
So, as an avid hiker, what are your favorite things about getting out on an Ice Age Trail?
Oh gosh, being able to see things
Mhm.
and having things calm down.
Mhm.
And a friend of mine, Gary Klatt, was a hiker I served on the board with. He said, never pass up a bench. So there's
Wise
there's
words.
benches around, and it is because you hike and you want to go somewhere.
Sure.
You stop on a bench and you sit there for 5 minutes, and nature comes back.
Mm.
And you hear the birds and maybe a chicken off in the distance,
Mhm.
or you see the bugs that are crawling around,
Mhm.
or the feather that's sitting there, or you
Mhm.
notice the wildflowers. And then you come out 2 weeks later and that wildflower's gone, and there's another wildflower
Oh, beautiful.
coming out. So there's always something to see and always something to notice.
Mhm.
And whether you know the names of anything or
Mhm.
remember them, which
Mhm.
I don't, you still enjoy the beauty and grandeur of
Yeah.
those little bits of nature.
Mhm.
It's the kind of things that make us
Mhm.
calm.
Mhm. From our segment, I hiked it a couple years ago with some of the Grove's cousins, my female
Mhm.
cousins who are in town, and it was early enough in the year. And when you drive up to our farm, there's a hill covered with trees, and that's what you think, it's a hill covered with trees.
Mhm.
And then we were early enough in the season that it hadn't grown up all that much, and suddenly you see that the hill is, a hilly part here, and then there's a ravine,
Oh, yeah.
and then there's the topography of it. I had no idea.
Mhm.
Being able to see it at different seasons to me was so striking.
It's part of being at that terminus of the glacier is there's all these geographic and geological features,
Mhm.
moraines and eskers and
Mm-hmm.
things of that sort, plus ravines and the rocks and your segment, the Fern Glen segment, in May is just lined with spring wildflowers.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
And 2 weeks later, they're all gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, people say, oh, I already walked that trail. Well, you got to walk it 4 times, one in each season.
Yes,
And
yeah.
when we're
that's a really good
deciding
point.
where to put trail, we do that.
Oh, cool.
So we see, because the trail is different when the leaves are down.
Yeah.
And you can see off into Lake Wisconsin,
Mm-hmm.
or when it's green and you notice things
Mhm.
closer up.
Mm-hmm.
Ann, I just noticed that a good friend of mine is here.
We have a special guest.
Yes.
Ooh.
And,
Ah,
our friend Monty.
Monty!
The mammoth.
Hi, Monty! Oh, it's so good to see you. How nice of you to come to visit. Hi. Oh, you look fabulous.
Monty is one of the symbols of the Ice Age Trail.
We love Monty. Well, Monty, it is an honor to have you here. I will shake your tusk. I know we're not supposed to shake anything in the era of COVID. So Monty has a real mask on. Nothing's getting through this sucker. But Monty, thank you for being here. Are you excited about the upcoming? Oh, you are!
Yes,
Yay!
yes,
About the Mammoth
Monty.
hike. Fantastic. All right, folks. So it is time to celebrate the Ice Age Trail. It's time to celebrate being an Ice Age Trail community. It's time to celebrate all the volunteers that do all this amazing work, the impact that the Ice Age Trail has on our community. So Mammoth Challenge, sign up for it. iceagetrail.org.
Yes.
Is the main website. You can find information about the Mammoth Challenge. Monty hopefully will be visiting us again in October. I wish the full moon hikes were available because there are actually 2 full moons in October, on the 1st and the 31st.
Yeah.
So even though there aren't organized hikes, you can hike on a trail
absolutely.
all the time, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So check out all of the trail opportunities. Keep your eyes and ears peeled for more information, but sign up for the Mammoth Challenge. Get involved. I think when I talk to people about why they have stayed in Lodi all their lives, like me, or why they have moved back after moving away, or why they were attracted to move here and they've never been here before, it is the natural beauty of this area. Yeah. It's the hiking and the biking and the lake and all the things that we have to take. And during this time of a pandemic, to be able to walk, a good friend of mine, one of my former students, lives in Boston, and school closed down. He was teaching online, so he went to stay with some friends up, I think, in New Hampshire. And for the first time in his life, because he's an urban dweller, he said to walk out the door and hear nothing, and to be able to just go sit somewhere, and it's just changed his life in so many ways. If you haven't unplugged and you haven't taken the time to explore, please do so. And this is a great excuse to do it. Get your family involved, get friends, do the challenge. Even I signed up, and that's stretching it a little bit because I'm not exactly a long distance hiker, but I'm anxious and excited to check things out.
Well, and you don't have to be a long distance hiker because you have 30 days to do the 40 miles.
Yes, and that's
little bikes.
Absolutely.
Not mammoth bikes.
Absolutely. And if I can hike our segment, anybody can hike our segment, meaning the Fern Glen segment. So check it out. Parting words?
Come on out on the trail. You never know. You might run.
Monty, that's something you would like to run. Thank you so much. See you in 2 weeks, everybody.